Trouble Busters!
My name's Heather. I'm a homemaker, and I live with my husband, Frank. Frank has always had a big appetite, but since starting to work from home, his appetite's gotten bigger. Because of this, he's become a little chubby. He kind of resembles Shrek now. As he mainly works from home, in addition to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he's also constantly snacking. Even with these changes, I've been doing my best to keep our food expenses down. One day, I accidentally left my notebook on the table.
Hey, Heather.
What is it?
I just saw your notebook. You're using $300 per month on food expenses?
Is there something wrong with that? I think it's pretty average, below even.
No, it's weird. You're a homemaker, but you can't even use money properly?
What do you mean $300 is pretty normal? Especially if we take into account how much you eat, I'd say I've been doing a good job.
Are you trying to say that I'm at fault? When I lived by myself, my food expenses weren't this high.
Well, these numbers are for the both of us, so obviously it would be higher than when you live by yourself. Also, I think you're aware that you've grown a little since you were living alone. Frank kept whining like a little pig about the food expenses, but I decided to back down. Tomorrow we have plans to go to Frank's parents' house, so I decided to go to bed early tonight. The next day, Frank and I made our way to his parents' house. Frank's younger brother, Aaron, and his wife, Marie, live together with Frank's parents. Marie is a super diligent homemaker. She's always collecting recipes and keeping tabs on everything. Even though we're both homemakers, I've always idolized her. We were all enjoying dinner when Frank brought up a complaint about me.
Heather's been spending $300 on food expenses. What do you think about that, Mom? Can you tell her how to save better?
To this, even Frank's mother was surprised. Do you make $300 per day? She jokingly replied. Of course not, per month.
That's right. Heather spends $300 per month.
Frank didn't seem to understand that his mother had been joking. I think that's pretty normal, especially considering how much you eat.
Mom, you don't have to take her side just because you're both women. Take a look at this.
With that, Frank put a notebook on the table.
That's my notebook!
Frank, you can't go through other people's stuff like that. It was in this house and I'm part of the family, so it's fine if I look at it. Look here, it says $50 per month for food expenses. Compare $300 to that, and it's ridiculous.
In the notebook, it did indeed say $50 for food expenses, but considering there are 4 people living in this house, there's no way their monthly food expenses would only amount to $50.
That's the monthly budget for Teddy, our dog.
Huh?
That $50 per month for food expenses is for Teddy, our pet.
Marie wrote down Teddy's food expenses on a separate page in her notebook.
Right, Teddy?
Woof, woof. Did you think that was for all 4 of us?
Frank got annoyed by this.
I've had enough!
With that, he stomped off to her room. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. What's up with him?
He's angry. Woof. Heather, I'm sorry for Frank's attitude.
How could he think that 1 month's food expenses could be $50?
You try to keep food expenses to $300 per month, right? That's pretty good.
Yeah, you're doing great, Heather.
I was relieved that everyone seemed to be on my side. However, there was still Frank to deal with. I'll have a word with Frank about expenses again later. Thank you. With those kind words, I fell right to sleep that night. But the next morning, Frank still couldn't seem to back down from his argument.
I have proof that you're not good with expenses, Heather. Look at this!
What are you doing with Marie's notebook again? Stop going through it without her permission.
Not just for food, but Marie's saving money on all sorts of things. She doesn't buy clothes or jewelry. She doesn't even eat out. Compared to that, you live in luxury.
I don't know if luxury is the right word. Everything I buy is fast fashion, and even when I eat out, it's at cheap places. It seems as though no matter what, Frank wants to make me out to be a bad homemaker. He even said,
You better rethink your financial priorities.
To top it all off, I've had enough at this point, so I asked Frank's mother and Marie for advice, and they delivered. I decided to try out their idea as soon as we got back to our place. There's no way he's getting away with what he said to me. Trouble busters! Once we got back, I gave Frank a notebook and $100.
What is this?
If you're gonna tell me I'm no good at saving, then you'll be in charge of us trying to live on $100 for a month.
Huh? Why do I have to do that?
I want you to show me how it's done. If you succeed, then it means that you're right. Frank tried to get out of doing it, but he gave in and accepted. He even went on to say how easy it would be to succeed. The rules are simple. Frank will be in charge of buying groceries, cooking, and cleaning up afterwards. During this 1 month, I won't say anything about how the money should be spent. No one is allowed to help us if we run out of money. Lucky for me, I won't have to worry about grocery shopping or cooking for this month, so I get to relax. Oh, what you've got there?
This should be about 1 week's worth of food.
Well, the supermarket. The supermarket that Frank went to is the closest one. but it's more expensive than the one I usually go to. The one I go to is a little further, but it's worth it because they have more reasonable prices. Looking at the receipts, I thought to myself the other supermarket would have been cheaper, but I didn't say anything to him. I'm looking forward to dinner tonight.
You better be excited.
The dinner Frank made for us was grander than usual. There was a lot of food waste in the trash as well. That was a shame. What a waste. 2 days later.
Hey, Heather, we don't have any more food.
There isn't any more because you used it all.
But I bought 1 week's worth of food. How did it all disappear in just 2 days?
That's because you ate it all. Frank didn't seem to fully understand why this had happened. But off he went to go grocery shopping again. That night was well. He prepared so much food that we couldn't finish it all. 1 week later.
Hey, there's no more money left. Why did it only last us for 1 week?
Because you used it. It's gone. The thing is, Frank, for all the big talk he was doing, he'd spent the whole $100 in just 1 week.
Then what are we supposed to do for the remaining 3 weeks?
I thought you had a plan.
I know you have money. Come on, hand it over.
This has nothing to do with me. Remember, you have to figure it out yourself. Frank started pleading, but as per the rule, I wasn't going to help him. He had to resort using his own savings to get through the rest of the month. 1 month later. We're finally done. So, how did you do? When I took a look at his notebook, it said that he had spent about $900 on food expenses for this month. This was all because he didn't plan anything out. He kept buying whatever he wanted to eat and spent too much money on snacks and alcohol. You said $300 was too much for 1 month, right? Then why is it that you used 3 times that amount? Now do you finally understand how much money I'm saving for us every month?
Yes, I'm sorry.
After 1 month of going grocery shopping and cooking by himself, it seems as though Frank finally understood just how much hard work it is. He finally realized how much money was being used in order to feed him, and from then on, he didn't whine about food expenses ever again. Maybe he even felt a little bad, so he cut down on snacks and alcohol. Hey, did you lose a little weight recently?
You think so? Maybe. I feel a little lighter.
I think you look it.
Is that a good thing?
I'd say so. After that, Frank started going to the office again, and life seemed to have gone back to normal. I visited Frank's parents' house again to tell his family about the recent changes. So after all, Frank was able to learn an important lesson. I can't believe it took him so long, but I'm happy he finally understands now.
Frank said I wasn't buying luxury things, but I guess he doesn't know I buy anime goods instead of clothes and jewelry.
Marie, I didn't know you spent money on things like that.
I think I actually spend more money on my hobbies than you, Heather.
I'll let Frank know. Since then, Frank hasn't had anything negative to say about any household expenses. After experiencing firsthand how much thought goes into grocery shopping and cooking, I think he finally understands. It was only for 1 month, but I'm happy he agreed to the challenge. For anyone who has anything bad to say, it's best for them to try things out for themselves. Right, Teddy?
That's right. Woof,
Trouble Busters!
woof, woof.